How's it going, guys? My name is Davi and welcome to my channel. On last week's episode, we did some cleaning to that bucky and it was quite dusty. I'm sure now you can understand why I said it's no fun working on a dusty thing like that. In today's episode, we'll start with doing some body work. Finally. So, let's go. Okay, so to get started with this tailgate, we'll basically inspect what needs to be done and take it from there. Now, from what I can see, look, like I said previously, this thing is never going to be perfect again. But here's one main dent that I would like to get out, and that was caused by the cables holding up the tailgate snapping and the tailgate falling onto the toe ball of the tow bar. So it's got a nice round shiner right in there. Come have a look. Well, come on. And this is the dent I'm referring to. Like you can see, nice little shiner there. We've got a few smaller little dents here and there. This one I don't think we're going to bother with much because it's the top of the tailgate, and every time you load something in there it smashes down on the top and it's just going to cause a problem again. So we need to get this badge off and get this one, mainly this one, knocked out. Now on most tailgates you'll see it's got a closed cover, or cover that closes up the back of the tailgate. So basically remove these screws and then you can get into the back of this thing. Now unfortunately for us, that dent sits right there, so we won't be able to get a hammer or anything like that in there. But I'm sure we can find something like a crowbar or something that we can use to get that dent pushed out a bit. We just want to basically minimize the amount of putty that we have to use. Putty is just supposed to be a little filler. It's not supposed to be, building up body parts. So let's see what we can do. Now, like I just mentioned, very important part of what we need to do next is to clean this thing. Now, the most important part of cleaning this thing is that you need to find your wife's most pristine piece of grass and do it there, because we need the protection not to get any dents or scratches on this beautiful piece of tailgate. So good enough for who it's for. Yeah, I started opening up the dent with the sander so that we can see what this dent actually looks like. And got quite a nasty surprise. Time to bring in the big guns. What the And that, friends, is why I say knock out your dents. Don't try and build a body panel with putty. I mean, look at this. This is ridiculous. And you can see how the moisture is coming through from underneath. So this stuff is just falling apart. What a joke. Previous repairs, jeez, like, man. Ish. Before you apply filler, you'll want to sand the surface to give the filler something to grip onto. A smooth, shiny surface won't hold filler well, so scuff it up a bit for the best results. Your panel needs to be free from dirt, grease and rust. If you don't clean it properly, the filler won't stick well and you'll end up with things like bubbles, cracks or even peeling after a short time. Using a degreaser or wax and grease remover helps get rid of oils or residues that's left behind from your hands, car wax or even old paint. This ensures a strong bond between the filler and the metal. I prefer using rubbing alcohol as it evaporates quickly and minimizes the chances of moisture on the panel. Taking just a few extra minutes to prep the panel properly will save you a lot of time and effort in the long run, so don't skip this step. If you found this tip helpful, hit the like button and subscribe. It's free. Mixing body filler the right way is very important so you get the best results for your repair. Mixing it wrong can cause air bubbles or weak spot. Start by taking out only as much filler as you can use within say 3 to 5 minutes. You don't want it hardening before you apply it. Now add the hardener. As a general rule, a pea size of hardener for every golf ball sized amount of filler. Not too much as it will harden too fast. Too little and it won't cure properly. Now mix it up. Don't stir it in circles, that will trap air bubbles. Instead fold and spread the filler over itself until the color is completely uniform. Remember, you've only got a few minutes before it starts hardening, so work quickly. Start by pushing the filler into the dent, making sure it makes good contact with the metal. Use as little as possible. It's better to add more later than adding too much right at the start. It will become quite clear once you start the sanding process where you might need some more filler. Once the filler is cured, you can start with the sanding process. As I mentioned before, once you start sanding, you'll see where your low spots are. Then you can just mix up a little bit more filler and start filling up all those spots so you can start working on them. Okay, now so after hours and hours and hours and hours of sanding down the spot that we've filled up and filling it more, sanding, filling more until you get a nice flat surface. The next step will be basically just to make sure that you have a nice flat surface, and by doing that we'll be using some black spray paint. Just lightly feather it over the panel and then we sand it, and anywhere where you see some of that paint remaining on the panel is basically a low spot. So let's give it a try. Okay, so basically what we'll do now is just mist a little bit of paint onto the surface. Nothing heavy. Unfortunately the wind is not cooperating today, but yes, this should give us enough. Once this is dry, we will take the sander, just go over it, remove all the paint, and anywhere where you've got some paint left, you know you are left with a low spot, and that either needs to be filled up or you need to sand down the whole area a bit more, depending on if the panel is level or you've got a little bit of a bulge in your filler. Okay, now that the paint had some time to dry, we can start sanding over it, and let's see what we've got. Okay, this is interesting. Let me bring you closer. So as you can see, all these clean areas are basically where the sander was able to, you know, sand down, make it nice and smooth. I was under the impression we had a low spot here, but we can see it's actually a high spot because it's cleaner than the surrounding areas where we've still got some of that black spray paint. Now in an area like this, you can see that it's feathered in, but the putty is still slightly higher than the metal around it. Same thing here. So this spot is a bit low, this spot is slightly low, and this spot might be a bit low as well. Here we've got a little bit of paint left, so let's work this panel a bit more and see if we can get this thing as level as possible. Something else to keep in mind is to make sure that your sanding paper is clean. You can start getting little build-ups like this, where your paper seems fine, but it's not. Like for this piece, for instance, you've got this build-up. Now this build-up is a higher spot than the actual grit, and that causes the panel of the sander not to make contact with your surface, and then basically you are sanding your backside off, achieving nothing, because these high spots are scraping on the panel, and the grit that's supposed to do the work doesn't even touch it. So always check your paper, make sure it's nice and clean, and the best of luck. Like I said in the beginning, this bakkie will never be perfect. We'll try and get this as good as possible, but we're still gonna have spots like, for instance, here you can see the metal coming through. That means there's a dent outwards. Now, yes, we probably should have knocked it down, but we didn't see it at that stage, so we'll just work the filler up just to be more or less flat and make that a nice flat spot instead of a dent popping out like that. I think we are looking good on this panel so far. We can consider starting to clean it a bit more. From here, I've currently got a 40 grade sandpaper on this machine. I'll probably start using a different machine now with a lot finer paper over the full panel, so we can start sanding this panel down and get it as smooth as possible for our primer to go on. Okay, so like I've mentioned, we'll be going over to a different sander now. I'm gonna use 150 grit sandpaper first. Now guys, don't be like me, just check what you buy when you're buying it, because this is sandpaper for wood. Okay, but we're gonna try it anyway. But I'll be using orbital sander like this. Now I prefer to buy these sheets of paper because it's cheaper than actually buying the ready cut sizes for these sanders. Of course, this thing is not going to be funny with me. There we go. So when you buy sheets of sandpaper, you will have to cut these sheets to the correct size. So what I usually do is just take the piece that I just removed, lay it on top of the other one, and then, very important, using the smallest pair of scissors you can find, you cut this thing to the right size. Okay, on the sander, just place your piece of sanding paper in there, push this little clip back, and it's gonna grip it in there. Of course, I did it skew, like always, making a fool of myself. My mom will be so proud. Okay, front, back, and try and get this thing to sit as tight as you can, because you want your surface as flat as you can. Now, just before we start sanding this thing, you want to remove all the grit and pieces of metal or any dust from the panel, because anything that's on the panel, you can sand a groove into your panel. So let's quickly give this thing a light dusting and let's start sanding. Okay guys, that's it for today's episode. Thank you for joining. I think we achieved a lot with that tailgate. In the next episode, we can start painting it. So, join us again. Please like and subscribe. Leave some comments there. And have an awesome day. Cheers.